What it do, what it do. If you clicked on this video, shout out to you. We're back again with another sample loop breakdown. I'm explaining my process on how I make my sample loops. So let's just jump right in, all right? All right, boom. So as usual, I was feeling pretty moody when I was creating this sample loop. I feel like a lot of the R&B-ish sample loops I create, I'm usually in the mood when I'm creating them. This one was fairly simple. I didn't really do too much, but it's one of those sample loops that you just end up playing over and over and over again. So with this particular sample loop, I did a simple progression. I actually like this progression a lot. Yeah, I really like that progression a lot. So I used the Rarely piano for that. Again, I put reels on it just to kind of give it like a vintage feel, like some 90s R&B. Then I put a reverb from Valhalla Vintage Reverb on there. And some simple like EQ again, nothing too crazy. Right, so again, I wanted to layer that piano with another piano. So I used a DX7E piano. And with that, I just wanted to really just add more like oomph to the piano, because the piano to me, the Rarely sounded a little dry. Like it just needed, I guess, more texture to it, right? So this is the DX7E piano. So what I put on that, I did some simple like EQ. For the actual piano, added like a little bit of a reverb to it, and I bounced it, and then I just put some EQ on it. Usually when I add effects to some of my sounds, I bounce them because I'm trying to save like CPU. And also, it's weird, but like certain textures or certain sounds, like when you bounce them and after you add like more effects onto it, it gives it more like texture and weirdness to it. Right, so with that being said, the next sound that I use was a lit trance from SEM Volume 2 from the Arturia plugin. So again, it just really just following that chord progression. So like I put some effects on it, and I won't lie, I can't remember what I actually put on it before I bounced it. But after I put the effects on it and I bounced it, I basically put Valhalla Room on there just to widen things out, make it a little bit brighter too. Then some EQ with that. So with the three sounds, you basically have these, like this is how it sounds basically. Like that's fire. That's pretty fire. So after, I want to add a little bit of a texture in there. So I use a Simon Servita. His I think it's Atomic Textures like texture pack. It's actually pretty dope. It has some good textures and stuff in there. So I just used one of his textures just to add more substance to it. Nothing crazy. but again, combined with the other three sounds, it just worked, right? So you already knew you. Sorry. So you already know me with vocals, right? So with the vocals now, I came up with like a little phrase, and I'll play that for you. I'm not a singer, by the way, but yeah, those are my vocals. And what I did differently is that I actually made a lower version of it. And this is what it sounds like. So that's like my actual voice. So with those two combined, this is how it sounds like. So for the higher vocal, which was the actual, like the main vocal, I put, again, Alter Boy, Avox Choir, reverb, some EQ, and a fruity delay on there. So I bounced it out after I lowered it. So this is why you have this one right now that sounds like this. Same effects that I put on the higher one. So what I did is that I panned the higher vocal to the right and the lower vocal to the left, right? So after I wanted to give it more of like some movement, so I added a bass in there. And on that bass, just simple EQ. Right, so add in the rest of the stuff now. Right, so again, with me adding movement now with that bass, I wanted to add more movement with the movement, right? So I started beatboxing again. I don't know why I stayed beatboxing, but I love doing it. I feel like it adds like a good movement and textures, and it's not like your traditional, you throw in your little perk loops or whatever, right? Just using more natural elements. So again, me beatboxing. So when I was beatboxing, I was like snapping my fingers because I ideally in my head, I was thinking about like an R&B version of Snap Your Fingers, right? I just wanted to add like some movement onto it, really. So with that, I put a simple delay on there, fruity delay, just to, just to give it like an echo. Reverb, fruity reverb, and you guessed it, fruity EQ. Like some people be putting some crazy effects on there sometimes. Like for me, the stock plugins that come with your DAW, like they're pretty fire. Just fool around with it, So with the snapping, I wanted to complement the snaps with an actual snap. So I just put an actual snap in there. Then I put some vintage verb reverb on there and some EQ as well. So with those two, it just basically beefs up the snaps that I already had in the beatbox. So after I want to add like more textures and more like ear candy stuff in the background. So I came up with like this little pad from a CZ plugin. So with that, I put a pan on it, so it just goes from left to right, and again, simple EQ. I panned out I phased out the bottom half and kind of boosted some of the mid frequencies there. So with the other components, you have, this is what it sounds like. Right, so again, textures, we love our textures over here. There is a preset Fluttering Celeste from the DX7, and I put like a whole bunch of like effects on there and I bounce it out. So this is basically what that sounds like, the DX7. So it was a simple note, like I just kept pressing the same note. I think it was like C, I kept pressing it over again. But after, with the effects that I put on there, I think I put like I sent it through a guitar rig, crystallizer, and a few other plugins that I can't remember. But it had like this little glitching thing to it, which I found that was pretty cool. So when I added that in with the other textures, this is basically what it sounded like. That's basically it, right? So like, what I find with some of these samples is that like you gotta find a sound that kind of drives it, that moves it, then have other things to kind of complement it. So like the chords were pretty cool in itself, right? It was like the main foundation, but this lead here was, in my opinion, I felt like was the sound that kind of drove the track, that kind of, you know, put an emphasis on the other components in the sample loop, right? Right, so now you mix that with the vocals and other stuff. This is basically what you get, everything in its entirety. Yeah, I really wanted to make it like R&B-ish, super sassy, you know, so I was trying to find sounds that kind of complemented what I was looking for. But yeah, sometimes if you want to get sassy, you got to get sassy with it, right? We love sassy over here, for sure, for sure. Yeah, so that was the sample loop breakdown. If you guys enjoy these type of breakdowns, feel free to like, subscribe, share, do whatever. But I appreciate you guys for supporting this and tuning in. All right, so yeah, we'll see you on the next one. All right, one love, peace.